Let's talk about image attributes. And we've looked at a few of them already, but there is a place where you more or less have them all together in one place, which is really nice. It's called the Properties panel. I really do like this feature. But we need some images up here to make this work. Now to start out, I already have a document open. It's called Attributes, and if you go into your Pages folder right here, you'll see another file in there now. It's called Attributes. Open that up. Click to the right of the question mark in what's in an image and press the Enter key. We need an insertion point. Now let's close that down and go into our image folder. Move over flamingos. And of course you'll get the image attribute thing here for accessibility. Just click OK. We'll talk about how we deal with that later. Click to the right and let's bring in the lion. And again, click OK. Don't add anything. Now there they are. I'm going to bring up the Properties panel because I love this panel. I want to make sure you see everything here. If I click on an image, what will happen is it will change into the properties for that particular image I have chosen. Number one, you have the size. It's telling you what it is, 23K. This name right here is used for scripting if you're doing like JavaScript. If you don't, forget it's there. You'll never need it. The width and the height can be changed right here if we want to. This button right here is where the flamingos are. It tells me the path to them. Let's say, for example, that we decide we don't like the flamingos. We wish we had selected another image. Well, we don't have to get rid of it. All you really have to do is select the flamingos here and drag this target button right here. Drag it over to the file that you want to replace it with and let go, and it will automatically replace it. I like that feature. You see it in a lot of places where you can drag to something instead of typing the name in. Nice to have. This button here allows you to browse if you'd rather do it that way. Over here, there's our alt text that we didn't put in. If you want to put some in, feel free right now. Classes work more with the CSS aspects that we'll talk about in another chapter, so let's forget that one for now. Link, you want to make it a link, put it in right there. We have some editing buttons over here. For example, if I click that button right here, I'll actually open this image in Photoshop. I can begin working on it. So you see we're consolidating all of the properties for this image. This one right here allows me to edit my image settings. Remember this one from a previous segment, where we can actually modify the image, make it more compressed, make it smaller, make it load faster. Let's go ahead and get out of there. The next one over here is for updating from original. That's a new feature in CS5. If I have the original image, now this one didn't start out as a compressed JPEG. It started out as a high-resolution PSD document that I took off my digital camera. If I choose, I can work on that PSD or I can work on the JPEG. But if I put the PSD in here, the original, by clicking this button right here, I can update it from the original. That's an interesting feature, and it is new to CS5. Coming back over here, you have vertical space and horizontal space. The mapping feature allows me to make clickable links on this thing, and we'll talk about that in the next chapter. This is what I want to do. I want some space between these two. I don't like them. They're too close together. So I'm going to select this one, and that's horizontal. We measure in pixels. I'm going to go 5, press the tab key. I like splitting it and putting it on either one. I don't want 10 on one. I want 5 and 5. That's just how I do it. So if we select this one right here, and we go in and type 5 again, you see it pushes them away. We now have 10 pixels of space, breathing room if you will, between those two. We do have a target option, but that's based on a link, and again, we'll talk about that in the next chapter. If you want to put a border around the image, you can. Now here's my right-brained idea about borders. Images are in a box anyway. If you put a border around an image, there are reasons why, but in most cases you're just putting a box around a box. So I would usually leave that alone, but if you want to, you can. This button here allows me to crop the image. Now that means not make it smaller, but actually change what I see of it. I can actually crop it. This button right here allows me to resample. This one right here allows me to get into brightness and contrast. Well, let's do that to this one. Let's say it's a little bit darker than we thought it was going to be. So if we click the button, it's going to warn me first off that we're about to perform something that will permanently change the image. If you're happy with that, click OK. And we can change the brightness and or the contrast of the image. Up to us. So you like that? Click OK or not, click Cancel. On this one, well, let's say we want it a bit sharper than what it looks like, and that's this button right here for sharpness. Again, it's going to warn me. You can always turn these off. It's a permanent thing you're doing. Click OK. And we can change the sharpness of the image. Now that's obviously overly sharp, But I notice at about a 4, that's actually not too bad. If we turn off the preview, turn it on and off, you can see it does seem to help it a little bit. So we're happy with that. We'll leave it at a 4. We'll click OK. So we brighten this one up a little bit, and we actually change this one. Down here, you have an alignment feature. So if you're working with graphics and maybe you've got text, you can align the text and graphics to middle, top, bottom, whatever you want to do. Those are all the options that we have available, and they're all in one place, in the Properties panel. That's one of my favorite panels to never leave home without. I always have that open when I'm working because no matter where I click, it changes to fit what I clicked. For example, right now, I'm clicked over here on the background. If I click this button right here, I go right into my page properties. Don't forget you've got that Properties panel. It's a very important piece. And don't forget when you click on an image, you basically get all the attributes right there in one place.